You're listening to The Resilient Animal. I'm Annie Petersen, Doctor of Education with a Master's in Mental Health Recovery and Trauma-Informed Care. This podcast is an exploration of how helping other living beings can benefit human mental health and well-being, and what makes us all resilient animals. Hello all, this is Annie, and this episode is dedicated to one of the giants in animal welfare, Dr. Mark Goldstein, who passed away in 2025. Dr. Mark's passion for animals led him to Cornell University, where he earned his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree, and this launched an extraordinary career that took him from Boston's prestigious Angel Memorial Hospital to director of the Los Angeles Zoo. And then he went on to serve as president of the San Diego Humane Society, and that is where I met him. I honestly could talk for hours about Dr. Mark's impact on my life. In fact, I could fill an entire podcast episode just sharing stories about what he meant to me and my career in animal welfare. But here's what really set him apart. In a field that's all about caring for animals, Dr. Mark understood something that so many leaders missed. He got that education wasn't just a nice add-on. It was foundational, essential, and transformative. As an educator myself, finding someone in leadership who truly prioritized education was powerful. The way he championed learning and growth within our organization became fuel for all of us. Even on long, exhausting days, his commitment to education reminded us why we were there and what we were building together. And his compassion truly extended in every direction. Yes, he cared deeply about the animals in our care, that goes without saying. But what made him extraordinary was his equal compassion for people, for the staff, for the volunteers, for everyone who walked through the doors. In too many animal welfare organizations, there's this unspoken hierarchy where animals come first and people are just there. Dr. Mark rejected that completely. He understood that you can't have sustainable, effective animal welfare without also caring for the humans doing the work. He had this remarkable quality of never taking sole credit for the organization's success. He could have. He was the leader. But instead, he consistently shared that success with the entire staff. He made sure we knew that every victory was collective, that our contributions mattered, that we were building something together. His leadership shaped me so profoundly that when I went on to establish the Association for Human-Animal Bond Studies, I designed much of the organization based on how Dr. Mark had structured his. His model of compassionate, education-focused leadership became my blueprint. I will forever be grateful for his guidance during my career and for the positive example he set for everyone in animal welfare. His legacy lives on, not just in the organization he built, but in the countless people he inspired. The guests on this episode will include 3 people that he worked with and that he profoundly impacted. Michelle Meschko, Alex Treiner, and Kira Samuels. Thank you so much for listening. Our first guest, Michelle Meschko, is the founder and president of Small Breed Rescue of Southern California, an all-volunteer nonprofit organization dedicated to saving lives through compassionate rescue and rehabilitation. With a focus on animals others might overlook, Michelle leads a foster-based network that specializes in rescuing behaviorally challenged small breed dogs and small reptiles, primarily from public shelters where they face euthanasia. Her organization takes on the animals most at risk, dogs declining in shelter environments, and reptiles or exotics with handling issues that make them difficult to place. Many of you already know Michelle. She's been on a couple of interviews already for the Resilient Animal podcast. And Michelle also worked with Dr. Mark, and we were at the San Diego Humane Society around the same time together. So thanks, Michelle, for being on the Resilient Animal again.
Thank you for having me. So, I actually met Dr. Mark through Shelter Buddy. The San Diego Humane Society was looking for a new database and something that was well-rounded and robust, and learned about Shelter Buddy, and then decided to go with us. And so I actually was living in Australia at the time. And so when they started to bring San Diego Humane on, they decided to send me over with the team. And so that's when I first met Dr. Mark. And, going to a lot of different shelters and organizations, I met a lot of different people, the higher ups and, the boots on the ground, everything. But the thing that stood out to me about Dr. Mark was how compassionate he was. But there was something very warm about him, very open and accepting. He took time out of his busy schedule. I think we were over right before Furball was happening, so it was a very busy time. And he took the time to give us a tour of the Gaines campus. And also to kind of share with us the new programs that were coming on board. And my coworker and I were really impressed with what San Diego Humane was doing, what his influence was, what his visions were. And so, he, of course, my counterpart was like, "Will you hire me if I come work here?" And he said, "You both have a job if you want to." So it was many years later, though, that I found myself actually in San Diego, and, uh, because they still had Shelter Buddy after all that time, they decided to, they being Renee and Dr. Mark, working together, to see if they could bring me on board to be the San Diego Humane Shelter Buddy specialist for the team. And so that was a really unique and awesome experience. So I got to know him a little bit better then. Um, Anytime I saw him in the hallways, he always remembered my name, said hello, asked how I was doing, and felt like he genuinely meant it. So anytime I had ideas or issues or anything, I always knew that his door was open, and that's the way he wanted everybody to feel, and that's truly how I felt.
Yeah.
Um,
And that is such a recurring theme among everybody I've spoken with is that he was compassionate, he took the time, and he remembered people's names. And
mhm.
that, as simple as that sounds, a lot of people don't. A lot of people in those president roles don't do that. So yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
can say if I don't recognize your dog or your cat or your bird, I'm not too sure who you are sometimes, because I associate animals with people. But
right,
he took the
right.
time to get to know people. I think when we
Mhm,
come into this world, we're kind of bitter about humankind
mhm,
because of the things that we see, but he made a point, and it actually helped me to kind of open my eyes a little bit more to, if we don't have all these people helping us, we can't do what we're trying to do. So there has to be some compassion and give and take, and you if you just take a second to listen and remember
mhm.
who they are and what they said, it goes a really long way, and it did for him. It
Right,
really did for him.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, I feel that the world is definitely missing a good one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
you know, when I learned about this, I was kind of shattered. Like I didn't expect something like that to happen ever, or for it to impact me as deeply as it did. And I know there are so many other people out there that were way more connected to him than I was. But if even in my brief, interactions with him, he made such a big impact, that says a lot about somebody, especially in what we do.
Right. Well, thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I
I'm so
appreciate it.
glad I got to share something because,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I would have worked for the Humane Society if I had not met him and felt his passion and his vision. When I came on board, that's when the North Campus came on board with San Diego
Mhm.
Humane, and I was a big part of that. And, later on, it was the Escondido campus coming on board, and I was a big part of that. But that was his. He wanted everybody to collaborate, and
Right.
so, and that's one of the things I've taken into my rescue is I want to work with everybody, not against everybody. We may have
Mhm.
different opinions, ideas, and perspective, but I think if we come together, we can find a common ground to make the world a better place, especially for our humans and our animals.
Right. Right.
And he kind of started that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next guest is Alex Treiner. He's a published author of Sherlock DNA, a startup saga, a novel about Illumina based on real events, founder of Make Offshore, helping companies develop and manufacture their hardware products and medical devices, tech founder with an exit, engineer, and inventor.
I founded this pet technology startup called Pet Wireless back then, and I was looking for an advisor, for a veterinary advisor. Somebody introduced us in late 2013, and I remember, it was so thoughtful person. He applied every critical thinking to every single thing, every point I've made, every single thing I said. So it took us pretty much probably 3 months before he decided to commit to me. He said, "You know what? I will talk to you. I will give you advice and all that, but I'm not willing to commit until I am, I convince myself that this is something that I want to do. This is something I believe in." And
Mhm.
so, as I said, it took him a while to believe in it. He's like a cat, I guess. Cats are always not very believing, right? I mean, they're not very trusting. Uh,
So it was
but
perfect.
yeah, but the harder you have to work to bring somebody on your side, the more rewarding it is. So we finally signed an advisory agreement, I was ecstatic. My whole team loved it.
Mhm.
Dr. Mark was instrumental into kind of honing my vision for this company, because it was my very first adventure venture into a veterinary world. And later that year, in 2014, we launched a Kickstarter campaign. So Dr. Mark was super excited. He never done this before. He was with us. He went to all the video recording. Back then people didn't record their videos just on the phone as we do today.
Right.
Back then you had to basically do some high quality videos. So we hired a video production company. He went with us to all the recording sessions. Was very excited about it. Like, took it very seriously. And by the way, you still can see a video of him on the product's Kickstarter page.
Yeah, I remember when Dr. Mark was talking to me about you and how he was so excited. And yeah, when he was a very thoughtful person, like you were saying, and he would put a lot of thought into what he wanted to do. And you know that if he was involved in a project or with a person or anything like that, that it was something that he truly felt was going to where he always wanted to do 100%. It was never, yeah, I'll help you out. Yeah, it was never like that. He did a lot.
Dr. Mark, although he spent, I guess, a lot of time, he was director of a few interesting, like Los Angeles Zoo, I think, was it, right? Maybe somewhere in New York, maybe another zoo. Of course, San Diego Humane Society. So he must have spent some time in his office, but he very much loved outdoors. So almost every meeting that we had, he took me to for walks. So we would either walk with his dog, But like I live in Carmel Valley, just not far from Gonzales Canyon Trail.
Mhm.
I remember we spent a bunch of time there. So if I were just to log in all the miles, we definitely we exceeded a marathon, combined
Well, even
on all our
and
meetings.
it's so funny that you said that because when you were saying that, and I was remembering his office at San Diego Humane, and he was the president of San Diego Humane when they did the Capitol campaign and built this big, beautiful new campus on Gain Street, and formerly it was on Sherman Street. And so
Mhm.
part of his office, though, is this outside patio area. And so he would have meetings in his office, but 99% of the time, they couldn't necessarily go on a walk, but he would meet with people in this outdoor patio area. And there was just something that it just added some lightness to whatever the meeting was about, and
Yeah.
yeah, I can see him doing that, just really moving and his brain working and then, coming up with ideas and having discussions. So that's
And I can add to this,
yeah,
to your
please,
point.
please.
So, once he retired, basically his house became his office,
Mhm,
right? And I've been to his house countless times. We just, we live like a mile from each other, but maybe less even, right? Just across Delmar Heights here.
mhm.
He hated to be in the house. He actually, we would go out in the backyard. He had I don't remember what if he had. I think he had a pergola or something,
Okay.
right? Yeah, I don't remember whether it's a wooden pergola or was like. I remember it casted a little bit of shadow, right? It was nice.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting there. He was telling me about different animals, raccoons running around and all that. So it was great. And of course, I think we should talk about his sense of humor,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, please.
Now I'm Jewish, he was Jewish, and Jews we have a self-deprecating sense of humor, right? Meaning that you just there's no way you can defend us before you even think about defending us. We'll offend ourselves. So 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 Dr. Mark and I we went into the self-deprecating mode a lot of time. It was great.
I love it. That's yeah, he did, and he had that good balance of being everything was so heartfelt, but he was funny. It was really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Um,
So, like one, he made me feel part of his family, and he actually invited my family over to Thanksgiving. We were all together,
Mhm.
so he became part of my family. I became part of his family. I think it was so. He was a really warm-hearted person.
Right,
Uh,
right.
uh, where you said that, right?
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to tell you is, he's written a book.
Mhm, mhm.
And actually, I learned, like of course I bought his book, right? I wanted to help him, and I've learned later that he is, I don't know if she was a ghostwriter or editor, but it was a woman who was a VP of marketing at Pet Wireless. Her name is Angela Smith,
Oh,
and Dr. Mark actually obviously met her through me.
okay, okay,
You know what? Maybe that's I don't remember. Anyways, maybe actually Dr. Mark introduced us, but
okay.
in any case, it's kind of all in the family. And he during our relationship, he told me several stories that ended up in his book, and I felt really kind of it was like heartfelt when I read the book, and I thought, oh my god, like I know this story. I know he told
Yeah,
me about this. He told me about that.
I know he had some great stories, just great stories from
Yeah.
his I didn't realize because he talked about your partnership and everything, but that's awesome that you 2 were such good friends and were going to each other's homes, and that's what I think that's what a startup is all about, it really is grassroots and you're, hanging out with the people that are helping you to formulate the product or the idea, so that's great. Yeah. Well, Alex, it was a pleasure talking with you, and our final guest is Kira Samuels. She's a dedicated animal welfare professional based in San Diego with 18 years of experience in animal welfare. She currently serves as a lieutenant with the San Diego Humane Society. With a career rooted in community services and outreach, she is passionate about strengthening the connection between people and their pets through education, resources, and compassionate enforcement. Now we're speaking to Kira Samuels. And Kira, do you mind telling us what your current title is and just where you came from?
Yeah. So I'm currently a lieutenant for San Diego Humane Society. I actually started my career at San Diego Humane like back in 2008. I was it was interesting because I had never had a vision of working in animal welfare. Um, when I was younger, I knew I wanted to work with animals, but I didn't know what kind of career I wanted to pursue. And I had thought I had wanted to go in the veterinary field, but it wasn't for me. And I actually ended up working at San Diego Humane Society, kind of, I would say by accident. And I had started applying for different jobs and ended up working at San Diego Humane. I remember like the first day I was hired on as admissions counselor, or sorry, admissions for customer service at first. And I remember like the first day I felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing. These were my people. I could say my tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I remember when I first started working there too, out came the president, Dr. Mark, to introduce himself. I was just like, whoa, what?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
introducing himself. And so, yeah, that definitely spoke volumes regarding just kind of the family,
Mhm.
the family community that was
Oh, for
part of San
sure.
Diego Humane. So then you went into humane law. So what
Mhm.
made you go that direction?
My career has been a little bit of everything, and I think that's kind of the beautiful part of animal welfare. But honestly, I think that the earlier on in my career, the kind of the vision that Dr. Mark had, was, this philosophy of training everyone in a very, like, uniform way where everybody had the same knowledge, but it was so structured and I learned so much that it was something I would able to carry on in my whole career. Um, they would do these like courses, I think it was like animal level handling, like 1, 2, 3. They had like customer service handling and customer service courses that they would do. And I
No,
just remember being
I think you said it right for customer service handling.
no, it is handling, right.
Okay, yeah, you
So it
have to
feels like
handle a
sometimes.
lot of different people. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
And it was something that really prepared me for animal welfare, and so I did a little bit of everything in my career. I did, like I said, I worked in admissions, I worked in adoptions, I did some like behavior animal testing, like for whether they're adoptable. And then I created a spay neuter like a trap neuter return program for Pasadena Humane. I oversaw their community spay neuter clinics, and then I became a supervisor for their admissions as well, which turned into like a whole resource center. It just my career kind of evolved, and then I somehow ended up in field services. And then at some point I was like, I'm ready to come back to San Diego. And the position opened up for lieutenant and I went for it. And it just worked well. It just melded all my previous history, everything I had picked up along the way just became this
Right.
perfect little ball of knowledge for
Yeah.
prepared me for lieutenant, basically.
It's really interesting even because I've born and raised in San Diego. It's just how many people you see just in passing that, or, you start doing some work with who are like, yeah, I worked at San Diego Humane back in the day and
Yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah.
that. Everybody has some kind of relationship to
hmm
SDHS.
And that's one of the beautiful things I loved about, San Diego was, like, there were so many people here that
Mhm.
had been here for years, like, I even when I first started, I remember seeing a lot of people there, they were, like, there for, like, 5, 10 years. Some of them had been there for a lot longer, and I was like, "Wow, like, this is a place where people just, like, really stay. It's like family." And leaving and then coming back and seeing a lot of this, like, familiar faces was a really nice welcoming thing too. There's people who just stay with them, stay with San Diego Humane. And, I remember when I first started in, admissions, and Dr. Mark my desk was, right by the entrance from the parking lot. So you'd come from the parking lot, you'd walk through the front, or, like, it would be, like, the center of the courtyard basically to the where it would lead to the front gate, the front door of San Diego Humane. So in order to pass that, you'd pass by admissions where it had an out like a desk outside, and every day, Dr. Mark would walk by and he'd say, "Good morning." And he's like, "How are you doing today?" And then it was just so, like, impactful because he wasn't just asking you, "How are you doing?" Like, he would stop, he would look at you, and he'd wait for your response. And it just felt so genuine. And I think that that's, like, that was the culture that was there, Like, it was just very genuine. It was like family. Like, I felt like I could be very honest about how my day was going.
Right, right, and he
He
cared, and
cared.
and I mean, and so if you said, "No, my day's not going so great," he wanted to know why,
Yeah, yeah,
it wasn't just a waiting for you to say, "Yeah, it's great,"
yeah,
and then he'd keep on going, it's
and it
not
it just felt so genuine, and it was something that, I don't think I've met a lot of people in my life who are that genuine, who, like, it just it really it taught me a little bit about leadership too, to be honest with you. Like, the way I lead is that way. I'm very genuine. I genuinely want to know how everyone's doing, and I take that time, and I think it means a lot, especially when people are animal welfare is not easy, and it's very difficult. And it's really important to have people who make you feel supported.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part, but I hope that most people are looking at animal welfare differently now instead of just the
Mhm.
puppies and kittens and you get to
Mhm.
play yeah, and you do get those experiences, but
Mhm.
it's not just you see, especially in humane law, you see some really horrific
I
things.
know, it's
And I
rough.
I took a humane law and for the oh my goodness, what was it called? It was the 2-week course at San
The
Diego
Humane
Humane.
Academy.
Yeah, so I did Humane Academy just so I could have just know what everybody's doing, and at the end, I just was like, "I am not.
Yeah, no,
This
it
isn't
is very
I can't do
difficult.
it." Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and that's, when coming again, I worked in field services for Pasadena, but, it's a smaller scale. Coming to San Diego was a little bit intimidating, especially with we're known for being very large. And so I wanted, I was a little nervous and apprehensive, but I went for it. And actually, it's been a really great experience. Everybody's welcomed me. Like I said, I fit right in. But about, like, I want to say, like, about a few months into starting with the position, I received a call from Dr. Mark, and it was. Again, I feel so touched, because this is someone who, he's the president of San Diego Humane. I worked in customer service and admissions. I didn't think that he even remembered me, quite frankly. But he called me and he told me how, he was very proud of me for being in the position I was in, and it really touched me, I realized that, again, I always felt that he was very genuine and that he cared, but it just touched me that he remembered every single piece of the puzzle. Everybody who had a piece in animal welfare, he remembered them. He remembered me, you know? And, and it was just really something that kind of made me feel good and made me wanna make him proud and carry on his vision in animal welfare. And, again, it's something that, I've carried his his vision for just being more of a community, like a community service, and not only caring about animals, but caring about people, because I think that's a lot of times what we forget in animal welfare, that a big component of what we do is working with people. And Dr. Mark showed that a lot in his work, He didn't just care about the animals, he cared about you. He cared about the people who cared for the animals. And I think that that is something that was really impactful to me, and I still to this day will carry with me. Um, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're here to serve the community and serve the animals that they care for.
Yeah. Remember that big board he had in his office and had
Oh, I know.
everybody's photo on it? And, we just
You
kept getting,
created the same boards, by the way.
see? Yeah, definitely. And
Uh,
because he wanted to know who everybody was. And of course, it kept growing. San Diego Man kept growing and there wasn't enough
yeah,
space for that board.
I
But
know.
yeah, he just had that board. And I was just, never had I seen that before then or
Mm-mm.
after. I've not seen
No.
that any place afterward where the president knew, wanted to be able to
Yeah.
know your name and put that face with that name and know who everybody is. And um
It
yeah,
that's
he
not easy.
no, 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 no,
Mm-mm.
no. Especially when you got so much on your mind and you've got
Mhm.
so many balls in the air and trying to, yeah. So I love what you said about how you carry those things on in your leadership, and
Mhm.
and how he wanted to make him proud. And
Yeah.
that's something that I still do and I still catch myself doing. It's just, I wonder if Dr. Mark would like this. And then um
Yeah.
I hope he would. I hope he did. Um, and the fact that he did continue to remember people is pretty spectacular because most people,
Absolutely.
they don't.
I just really wanted people to, you know, remember Dr. Mark for the amazing person that he was, and, I was really heartbroken when I heard of him passing away. I didn't know that he actually, was, struggling with cancer, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and, I actually went through a similar journey afterwards shortly, but I think about how much he touched everyone's lives, and I really want his, like, story to be heard, and I don't think that anybody if they hadn't met Dr. Park, they would know, maybe, but if you met him, like, you would remember him forever pretty much. As he
Uh,
did, he remembered you too, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that sick either.
Yeah.
But my husband had been hospitalized.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting because my husband was lying in emergency, and
Mhm.
I heard this really familiar voice. It was so weird. I heard this
Mhm.
really familiar voice down the hall, and it was Dr. Mark and his wife.
Oh.
And they walked past and they stopped, and they were in emergency for a reason too. But
Mhm.
he stopped just to talk to my husband and I, and
Wow.
how are things going and all this other, and you're right, that's who he was.
Yeah.
That's who
Yeah.
he was.
I had my, diagnosis for cancer around the time that he had passed away, so when I went to
Mm,
his funeral,
mm,
I, I had that, like, on the back of my mind,
yeah.
and it was something that was, I don't know, like, a part of me felt like I was able to I just know that he wouldn't want me to be worried about it, I think that ultimately your attitude and the way that you, um carry yourself after that diagnosis really means a lot. I mean, it really is a big make it or break it, I think, quite frankly. I think that it is you have to stay optimistic, you have to stay positive in order for you to continue to heal and get better. And, that's something that I also, I thought about him and I was like, I didn't even know he had that diagnosis, and he still went on with his career and did on all the great things that he was doing, And caring
Oh,
about others too in the middle of that.
right. Right. Yeah, because you get so
Yeah.
focused on you and your health, but then
Right.
having
But
that
sometimes
ability.
that's what you need, you need
Right.
that, like, put that energy into something good,
Right.
Not to
Right.
focus on the bad, focus on the good.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Resilient Animal podcast episode honoring Dr. Mark Goldstein. I thought the best way to end this episode would be to hear the voicemail that Dr. Mark left for Kira Samuels when she became lieutenant at the San Diego Humane Society. Thank you, Dr. Mark, for your ongoing legacy in animal welfare, and thank you all for listening.
Hello, Lieutenant Kira Samuels. I don't know if you'll recognize the voice, but I hope you'll recognize the name. This is Dr. Mark Goldstein. Kira, I've noticed how you've just excelled and expanded your ability to help animals and people in our community. I want to tell you how proud I am. I just didn't want to write it in LinkedIn or online, so I was just calling personally to say thank you very much. I think you know I don't patronize people. I'm very honest. You're doing a great job. I'm honored to have played some tiny part in you getting to where you are today.